Welcome to the Inalienable Right, guys. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, with certain inalienable rights, and that they are endowed by
The thing.
the thing. We know the thing. We call this Trump comes to Texas to tout his success. I was listening to it, and I was bowled over because of the unreporting and things that going under the radar intentionally, because I seen with my own eyes the contrast of here Trump is at the borders down in the lower part of Texas, and he was holding a press conference with law authorities, immigration agents, the governor, and all those that's concerned with illegal immigration. And he was touting all his success, and I thought to myself, at the same time, simultaneously, CNN and the news and the lights was running a story on what they call the insurrection and possible impeachment, and they just bypassed this whole major event that this man was putting together at the borders. And one thing he touted with, that the promise kept 450 miles of new, the most extensive, massive infrastructure in our history. And to make matters even, to add to that, they have like a 10-foot metal, once you get to the top of the fence, it's a metal climbing that you can't climb because it has no where to grass. So it's a metal, some type of metal over the fence. And then all the sensors and the rebar and the steel and the concrete that's built where you can't go under. It's just state of the art. And when he started talking about some things that just kind of eluded me a little bit, and that was that I didn't know that he had made a confederacy with Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, that they are now confederate with the United States and dealing with this immigration. And he also, Mexico is another one. So it's so many things, and he touted the thousands of criminals that's been detained and put away permanently. So this is things that the media just refuse to report. These are things I think it's a success because it makes everyday America's life a little easier.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that kind of chaps my hide. Is if you go back and you look, Obama, Bush, Clinton, I don't know how far it goes back, but they all talked about border security and our need for border security.
He mentioned that. Trump mentioned that today.
Really? Yeah. The story that he's talking about, I haven't really looked into it. I knew that Trump was in Texas. I knew he was down there by the border, but I hadn't really paid any attention to that today. And but that's the thing. They've talked about this for years, our need for border security. And the other thing that aggravates me too about it is they're steadily sending money to other countries. America sends money to other countries, whether it's Israel or Jordan or what is it?
Egypt.
All these Middle Eastern countries that we have sent money to for them to build walls, and borders, and they, and then they have gone off the rails about how we don't need, we need to have open border. How can you say that? How can you say that out of both sides? You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. On one hand, you're saying, "Oh, we're sending all this money over here because these people need borders," but yeah, we need open borders in our country. That doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make any sense. They've been touting this for years. Everybody has. All these past presidents have talked about the need for border security because we need to keep Americans safe. All the human trafficking that goes across the border, all the drug trafficking that goes across the border, it's terrible. And in the human trafficking and bringing the people across and all that, what is it? Something like, I don't know, 2/3 of women that are brought across here, and children too, are being raped. Trafficking by these traffickers that are trying to get to America. It's just like, we all know that needs to stop.
Exactly.
And all these extra drugs, where do these go? To go into our poorest areas. You know, the people that complain the most about, you know, not doing enough for the poor, not doing enough for minority communities and all this kind of stuff. Where do you think all them drugs go? You know, they go to the minority communities and the poor communities. And it's like, we got to stop that kind of stuff. And I'm quite sure we would, if he had more, you know, help in Congress and all that, we would have got a lot more border wall done than that. And I'm sure he would have got a lot more done if he had a second term. But, you know, what are they going to do now? Want to go tear it down?
Well, that's what Trump said. He made a comment like that.
I'm
For
sure.
somebody that ain't seen it, you almost verbatim. No, but he was pretty much like, what they gonna do? Tear it down? He said, no, I don't think they do that because this is too sturdy right here. This is too well built. I mean, we talking about billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But yeah, the same time that in certain areas where this wall is, the crossing has dropped over 90 to 95%. I mean, that is major.
Yes.
Major. I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, it is saving lives on both sides of the spectrum, you know. And even, you know, they talking about Mexico going to pay for the wall. Trump said, in a way they are, because the tariffs and the route that they got to come through to import and export and the likes. These bills have just went up. I mean, because and so with the wall, I mean, the state of the art. I mean, you got sensors on it all around it. I mean, I marvel at those that the detractors or those that just haters. You know, just it's not. No, this is like a eighth wonder of the world. If you ever go down there and see the excavation and the planning and all that they put in this is state of the art. This is not the ordinary wall that you would see, as you know, in some of the movies where you got the little old fence and the little.
Well, if you look at some of the fence that was there, it's like chain link fencing,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And most of it looked like, you know, you go up
this
and
is
knock it down.
Exactly. This is a deterrent.
Yeah.
And I walk up to that and I see like the eighth wall, you know, China, what they call it, the
Great Wall.
Great
Yeah.
Wall. That's not feasible. And rightfully so. I mean, with the money that they taxpayers' money that they have, they're trying to sustain those that are without. You know, we're compassionate people. I understand that. You know, but we can't. We already $20 trillion in debt. I mean, what this man was doing when he was tearing this down there, I was thinking to myself. I said, if only the people's this information could go forth. If only they would understand the fentanyl, all the drugs that stopped. I mean, and one of the world's meanest, ruthless gangs, MS-13. It's just like ISIS. You can't hear a peep from them right now. But they're chomping at the bits.
Oh yeah.
They're chomping at the bits, waiting.
Well, and that's the thing too, is a lot of the rhetoric against the wall is that it's, you know, against Latin American countries and all that kind of stuff, that it's, you know, the Hispanic, you know, that it's all against the Hispanics. But that's not all who's been coming through that wall. I mean, you know, I can't remember now, it's been a little while since I seen it, maybe a year or so ago, where they were talking to ICE, and they were talking about all the different people that were coming in from all over the world.
Yeah.
China and India, the Middle East, all over Africa, all different people that were coming across our border, our southern border. It's just amazing. So it's not just, you know, the Hispanic. It's the whole world. You know, there's whole world people out there.
Yeah, and they was using us against ourselves. You know, Trump also said that one of the hardest things was to do is to get past Congress. To do it, you know, they had to go around them. They refused to lift a finger, and now their chief aim is to disgrace this man and try to tear down any semblance of accomplishment. But praise God, he built great things. He did great things.
Well,
you know, this ain't gonna be easily put away.
What you just said, Congress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not talking just Democrats It's Republicans too.
Exactly.
You know, and I know we can get into a whole conversation about that. You know, that all these what we call rhinos, right? What they want to call rhinos. Yeah, I mean, where are all these people on helping America? You know, helping Americans.
Instead of
They've said this, like I said, they said it for years. Oh, we need to do this, keep America safe. And yet they don't want to do it. They want to tear down, probably, like you said, which is probably not going to happen. But they'd love to do it if they could. I'm sure.
I think they're gonna put any construction to a halt.
Oh yeah, that'll probably stop.
Any future construction.
And so it's like, how do these people, not want to help Americans?
We had a manager on the job that said one time, because it's people actually out there because of human nature. You could be working hard at a position, and another person would walk up and say, "Stop working so hard because you're making us look bad."
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Trump has achieved. Greatness is something that just is not easily found. I mean, greatness comes sometimes in a lifetime. Sometimes, one of the last greatest presidents I saw in my lifetime was Ronald Reagan. And Trump, to me, exceeded that, and that was a tall order. But it's so much mediocrity and so much complacency and corruption in D.C. that it's like shining light in a dark area. You see all the people are being shown for, just what they do. They milk the government. I mean, this could have been done, like you said earlier, with some of the promises of the previous president. Yes. They always promised them walls and borders and protection. I mean, that's one of their primary campaign speeches.
Well, in this, the reality is the federal government really should only have certain roles. You want to talk about inalienable rights, you want to talk about the Constitution and all that. The federal government really should have a very, restrictive role in our lives. It should be very, not restrictive to us, but to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's one thing, that's one area where it should, help everybody. Is keeping us safe. That's one of the things, yeah, exactly. So, the military, we have the military, and border security should be right there with it.
That's what they swear oath to.
Yeah. And so,
foreign and domestic.
that should be one of the main things that they, that we take care of. And yet, like you say, they've talked about it in the past. These past presidents talked about it and, did little or nothing about it.
Right, and he was down there again, telling the immigration officers and just law enforcement officers and authority. He was telling them as heroes. Yeah. This is something he's been consistent with. He's been consistent with his adherence or his belief in law and order. He's a law and order president, and to try to twist that, they had to do a lot of contorting. They had to do a lot of turning around and upside down, because they can't convince, like I said, a thinking person or anybody that what we experienced the last 4 years that Trump is some insurrection leading dictator trying to lord over the world. That is so
that's what's so stupid is, if he was a dictator, there's so many things that, that dictators do. So many authoritarian things that, he would have taken our guns away. He would have done all this other stuff,
And he wouldn't let you remove him from office neither.
They're the ones that are out there, restricting his speech, trying to restrict our speech. We'll get into that, I'm sure, in another video. But that's what dictators do. They do these things. They're doing it to him. Normally, if you have a true dictator, they're going to do the opposite. If you look at Fidel Castro and Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un.
The only way they leave power in a hearse or
a
casket.
They
So
set themselves up in power, and then they stay in power, and they, they cut down anybody that's against them.
Exactly.
It's yeah. I mean,
And I think that, it's funny you mention that, because when I was thinking about how did he allow them to circumvent him like that, and ways, and it all come down to his love for the law. He was his, I don't know if it's naivety, but his belief that the law will not allow certain things to occur because they will be lawbreakers. And he believed, I think he had a strong fondness for law and order.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and that's what makes this border wall so natural for him, is that this not only prevents stuff, but it enhances the other side of America's, where people that didn't have jobs, they got jobs now that was being taken away in their whole life. So and he a communicator, because he believe it or not, Mexico on board. I mean,
I'm sure.
as far as I never seen them deploy the National Guard and military down to the southern borders and or even up to the northern borders to prevent people from just walking straight through. So he was doing something in the form of communicating,
Right.
to get this. And again, 450 miles. He said he made a comment that he got out and tried to walk. He said he built structures and stuff, so he may walk an acre or something. He said, but once he got to looking there all the way down there, he said that's a lot of wall. That is a lot of wall. 450 miles.
Yeah. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 1,600 miles is the total length of the southern border, something like that. So that's over a quarter of it.
It is.
So that's quite a bit, yeah.
And,
That's all right.
Yes, sir. And it looked like.
And I'm sure that's not, that's what they built. There is other parts
The
out
tracks.
there, that's been there, that's still, in place. So,
Oh yeah, you
probably
get
half
the
better than half of the
the
border is
mountains or the
covered.
places where they're impossible to cross over.
Yeah.
The areas where you connect them with some certain areas that impossible to cross over anyway, and that makes for a lot more border security.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. See if they try tearing it down.
Yeah.
I
Well,
doubt that's going to happen. Because that's just foolish. But at the same time, we'll see what more gets done, if any, or if
Right.
they just say heck with it and let it all in. We'll see what happens.
And that's the beauty of like loving our liberties and our freedoms. We'll be watching, just as they were watching us. We watching for progress, or we watching for things to go either or. But we definitely ain't going nowhere. This is our country.
Reminds me of that thing. If pro is the opposite of con, then progress is the opposite of Congress.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Congress does.
I like that.
I doubt it'll be progress. All right, thank y'all.